Dear faithful, let's stop for a moment. Let's put aside the din of the world. Let's turn off the noise that distracts us and open our hearts to reflection. We live in troubled times, an era in which change advances with disarming speed, overwhelming certainties and points of reference. The Catholic Church, founded by Christ himself, seems to be going through an unprecedented storm. Internal divisions tear unity apart, conflicting interpretations of doctrine generate confusion, scandals shake the confidence of the faithful, while a shadow of crisis spreads silently, insinuating itself into souls. Never before has Peter's boat appeared so vulnerable. Yet, none of this is unexpected. The scriptures had already warned us. The saints and mystics had spoken of difficult days, of trials that would test the faith of believers. Some believe that we are on the brink of an epochal event, a turning point that could mark the history of the Church forever. What will happen after the pontificate of Pope Francis? Are we about to witness a schism? And what will be the consequences for us, the people of God? The answers may be found in the prophecies of Fatima, in the messages received from mystics and saints, in the visions that, throughout the centuries, have revealed the destiny of the Church. Perhaps we need to look to the past to understand the present. For 2,000 years, the Church has faced furious storms. He experienced the ferocity of persecutions. He went through the chaos of the Great Western Schism, with opposing popes competing for the throne of Peter. Each time she has endured, supported by Christ's unshakable promise, the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. But today the crisis has a different face. It is not a battle for power. It is not a political or institutional issue. It is something deeper, more lacerating. It is a crisis of faith. Divisions are no longer limited to geographical borders or ecclesiastical jurisdictions. The very heart of the doctrine is shaken, called into question. The prophecies that once resounded like distant warnings today speak to us with urgency, almost as if they were crying out to warn us that the time of trial is now near. In 1917, in a small village in Portugal, Fatima, the Virgin Mary appeared to three humble shepherds, Lucia dos Santos, and the brothers Francisco and Jacinta Marto. He entrusted them with three secrets destined to shake their consciences. The first two were revealed in short order: a vision of hell, with damned souls burning in despair, and a heartfelt appeal to consecrate Russia to the Immaculate Heart of Mary to avoid war and persecution. But the third secret remained shrouded in mystery for decades. Only in 2000, under the pontificate of John Paul II, did the Vatican publish part of it. A disturbing scene came to light. A bishop dressed in white advanced through the ruins of a devastated city, surrounded by the bodies of martyrs, until he fell under a hail of arrows and gunshots. The Church interpreted this vision as a reference to the assassination attempt against John Paul II in 1981. But many theologians were not convinced. Was there perhaps something more? Cardinal Mario Luigi Ciappi, personal theologian of 5 popes, revealed something shocking. The third secret spoke of a huge apostasy, a crisis of faith that would have started right at the top of the Church. Disturbing words, which fueled suspicions that the Vatican had not revealed the entire message for fear of sowing panic among the faithful. Sister Lucia, in the letters written in the 1980s, seemed to confirm this dark vision, speaking of a spiritual crisis that would strike the Church from within. Let us look around us. Do we not see what was announced at Fatima coming true? Divisions among bishops, lacerating debates on marriage and morality, a people of God increasingly distant from the faith. Can we really ignore the signs? Can we pretend that the third secret is only a prophecy of the past and not a warning for our time? And Fatima was not an isolated case. Mystics and saints throughout the centuries have received revelations that converge toward a single truth. The Church will face its greatest test. Sister Lucia, in a letter addressed to Cardinal Carlo Caffarra, spoke of a final battle between the kingdom of God and that of Satan. He said that the battleground would be the family and the Church. And don't we see it happening before our eyes today? Ever more heated debates on marriage and family, a doctrine that seems to be wavering, pastors and faithful increasingly divided. History has taught us that the church has already gone through terrible trials and has emerged strengthened. But today the question we must ask ourselves is, are we ready to face what is to come? Perhaps the answer has already been given. The Virgin Mary in Fatima showed us the way: prayer, penance, fidelity to the true doctrine. Time is running out. It is time to watch and pray. In the heart of Japan, in 1973, a nun named Agnes received an extraordinary message, a warning that the local church recognized as authentic. The Virgin Mary spoke to her, announcing that a time would come when cardinals would oppose cardinals, bishops against bishops. Satan would have insinuated himself into the highest levels of the church, and many priests would have led souls to perdition. Words that echo with disturbing clarity the third secret of Fatima, prophesying an internal conflict that today seems to be manifesting before our eyes. The public disputes between high prelates, the increasingly evident divisions, the ideological battles within the church. Everything seems to converge towards that prophecy, as if the announced future had now become present. The revelations of Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich intertwine with these prophecies, offering images of extraordinary power. In his writings, he described two churches, one authentic, persecuted, reduced to a small flock, the other false, powerful and accepted by the world. He saw priests abandon tradition to embrace secular ideologies, adapting the faith to the fashions of the time. A vision that many today recognize in the crisis that the church is going through, where fidelity to doctrine often seems sacrificed in the name of an openness that confuses rather than enlightens. These prophecies seem to converge on one point: the church could face a schism, an unbridgeable fracture between those who remain firm in tradition and those who, instead, promote a change considered dangerous by many. And after Pope Francis? Some fear that this split could become permanent, leading to a division unprecedented in the history of the church. A unique phenomenon has characterized our time: the presence of two living popes. Benedict XVI, who in 2013 renounced the pontificate, and Pope Francis, who succeeded him. Never in modern history had a similar situation occurred. Some read it as a prophetic sign, a confirmation of what mystics and saints had announced. A time of great confusion, of bewilderment, in which even the spiritual guidance of the church appears uncertain. The ancient prophecy attributed to Saint Malachy, a 12th century Irish bishop, raises further questions. According to this prophetic list of popes, Francis would be the last pontiff, identified as Petrus Romanus, the shepherd called to lead the church through a time of tribulation. Although this prophecy is a subject of debate, many connect it to current events, seeing it as a harbinger of great upheaval to come. History teaches us that the church has already experienced moments of grave division. The Great Western Schism, with two popes vying for legitimacy, has sown confusion and turmoil among the faithful. But today, a schism could take a different form. Not just a dispute between two popes, but a theological fracture, a radical divergence between episcopal conferences, between priests, between the faithful themselves. The consequences would be devastating. Believers would find themselves faced with a painful choice, risking losing the unity that Christ wanted for his church. And in the world, a divided church would become more vulnerable, less incisive, incapable of being the beacon of truth and hope that humanity desperately needs. But history has also taught us another truth. No matter how much the church may be wounded, it will never be destroyed. Because it is founded on Christ and his promise remains unchanged, the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. The Virgin Mary, who appeared in Fatima, did not leave us alone. He showed us the way to get through these difficult times: conversion, prayer, penance. She asked us to recite the Holy Rosary every day, to consecrate ourselves to her Immaculate Heart, assuring us that these spiritual weapons would lead to victory. Many believe that the great promise of Fatima, the triumph of the Immaculate Heart, has not yet been fully realized. Its fulfillment, however, also depends on us. Today, more than ever, we are called to be that small, faithful flock, to remain firm in the truth even when everything seems to waver. Brothers and sisters, the future of the church is not written in prophecies alone, but also in the choices of each of us. We are called to be light in this time of darkness, to bear witness to authentic faith without fear. If you found the video helpful, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for your free contribution. May God bless you and accompany you.